For 6 years, I held on to my marriage with both hands. I made dinner every night. I bent myself into whatever shape kept the peace. I cried behind locked bathroom doors so my husband would never catch me falling apart. Then one ordinary morning, something inside me settled. Not rage, not grief, just a quiet, undeniable clearness. I grabbed one bag, slid my ring off my finger and set it on the counter, and stepped outside without saying a single word. What unfolded across the next 3 days was something my husband could never have seen coming. I'm Rachel. I married Daniel at 26. He was gentle, easy to laugh with, someone who showed up for work every day without complaint. Our first year together felt like a dream. Then his mother, Margaret, settled down just 40 minutes from us and slowly, everything shifted. Margaret wasn't a mean person, not exactly. She was something trickier than that, utterly certain that her son's entire world should circle around her. Sunday dinners weren't an invitation, they were an obligation. If Daniel and I made any plans of our own, one phone call from Margaret and those plans dissolved within 20 minutes. Every holiday belonged to her house, her cooking, her invitation list. When I got pregnant with our daughter, Lily, Margaret picked the baby shower date on her own. She booked the location. She wrote the guest list. She decided the theme. I only learned any of this because a friend mentioned the invitation she'd received. When I told Daniel how much that stung, all he offered was, "She's just excited, Rachel. She means well." The day Lily arrived, Margaret was already in the hospital hallway before I'd even been wheeled to my recovery room. She cradled my newborn for 2 straight hours. When I finally asked to hold my own baby, she passed her to Daniel instead. Again I told him it hurt. Again he brushed it off. "She's a brand new grandma. Just give her some space." 6 years of give her space. 6 years of she means well. 6 years of me folding myself smaller and smaller inside a marriage that was supposed to be mine too. The night it finally cracked was a Thursday in November. Daniel and I had scheduled a weekend getaway, just us, our first time truly alone in 3 years. I'd reserved a small inn in Vermont, paid in full, no refunds. 2 days before we were set to leave, Margaret called. She needed help repainting her living room that same weekend. She'd already bought the paint. I was in the kitchen when Daniel walked in wearing that expression, the sorry-looking one that never actually came with an apology attached. "Mom needs us this weekend," he said. "We'll do Vermont some other time." I didn't cry. I didn't fight him on it. I just looked at him for a beat and said, "Sure, Daniel." He looked relieved, like everything was fine. It wasn't. That night I lay there awake and made up my mind, not out of anger, just clarity. I was finished begging Daniel to pick me. Finished explaining why I mattered. If 6 years hadn't taught him that more talking wasn't going to fix it. I had a plan and I intended to carry it out without fanfare. The next morning I called my sister, Claire. I told her everything. She listened all the way through without cutting in, which for Claire is nothing short of a miracle, and she told me I could stay with her for as long as I needed. Then I called a family counselor and booked myself a session for the following week. Just for me. I didn't make a scene while packing. No dramatic farewell letter. I grabbed my important documents, my laptop, 2 weeks' worth of clothes, and Lily's favorite stuffed rabbit. On a notepad I wrote a single line and left it beside my wedding ring on the counter. "I love you, but I won't keep living in a marriage where I always come third. You need to decide if that matters to you. I'll be at Claire's." I picked Lily up from school that day and told her we were having a sleepover at Aunt Claire's. She asked if Daddy would be joining us. "Not yet," I said. She just said okay, then asked if Claire still had the good cereal. Kids have a way of cutting straight to what matters. Daniel got home around 6:30 to an empty house. He called me 4 times before he even found the note. After reading it, he called 11 more times. I finally picked up on the 15th. He wasn't furious, he sounded like something I'd never heard from him before. Genuinely scared. "Where are you? Are you okay? Is Lily okay?" he kept asking. I told him we were fine, that I meant every word I'd written, and that I wasn't asking him to love his mother any less, just to also love his wife. He went silent for a long stretch. Then he said, "I didn't realize." I told him, "I know. That's exactly the problem." He asked to see Lily. "Of course," I told him. He showed up at Claire's the next morning looking like he hadn't slept at all. He asked what he needed to do. I told him, "Talk to a therapist. Not for my sake, for yours. Figure out why you've spent 6 years making sure everyone else is comfortable except your own wife." He didn't argue. He didn't try to defend himself. For the first time in 6 years, he simply listened. He started therapy that same week. His own decision, not mine. His therapist helped him see something I'd been trying to put into words for 6 years without success, that he'd been mistaking keeping his mother happy for being a decent son. That his fear of disappointing her had led him to make his own wife feel invisible, just to spare himself that discomfort. He told me all of this himself, 3 weeks later, sitting across from me in his therapist's office. No notes, no rehearsed speech. He just said it. And then he apologized in a way that felt, for the first time in our entire marriage, completely real. I moved back home 6 weeks after walking out. Things with Margaret looked different now, not cold, just different. Daniel told her, calmly and firmly, that our family schedule was no longer up for negotiation. Sunday dinners became occasional instead of required. Holidays would be shared, not claimed entirely by her. She wasn't thrilled, but she adjusted because for the first time, Daniel drew a line and actually held it.